Welcome to the Wildcats podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome into Wildcast Studios for the Season 7 premiere of the Wildcats podcast, your unofficial host for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, fan listeners, I am your host Adam Lund, and I am joined by your favorite co-hoster. He made it back from Ontario. Everything is copacetic, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. How was your summer, bud?
Oh, geez, Adam, you know what that was? That was the introduction of a rock star.
Well,
you know, it's I can't get over how better you've gotten.
Thank you.
You know, over this. Were you practicing over the summer?
Well, you know what? I knew that the season wasn't far away,
Right.
So I thought I should probably start practicing.
Mm-hmm.
I got the studio ready. I sat here with the cameras, with the lights, and I practiced and practiced. Because you know what? No one's saving me from doing this.
No,
so I gotta get going here. I gotta figure it out. Your summer, Mr. Ontario, all through. How was it?
So let me explain the summer. As I mentioned on the season finale last year, the plan was to sell my place of residence.
Yes, that is correct.
And that did occur. I don't
have the sound effect for it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You know, it's we left for Ontario on the actually hit the market on the 14th of July in the middle of the afternoon, and then we left for Ontario the morning of the 15th, and by that evening we had accepted an offer.
Nice. So
it was literally maybe 24 to 36 hours before we had an offer, and we'd accepted an offer, and it was literally the first viewing. It was the first ones to walk in were the ones that made the offer, and we decided to take it because it's one of those too good to be true. Couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, you're just like, I want to give you the sold because I'm not spending any more time and resources. So you're packed up.
We're getting ready to pack up. We've we got the movers coming next whatever 31st is next Thursday. Yeah. And we're gonna be into our new spot next Friday, and
the prison, as you call it, you're gonna burn it to the ground.
No, well, no? You know,
metaphorically, he's not an arsonist.
That's correct. No, there's not going to be any arsons going on. If everyone cared, they would know that
they would help you move.
They would help me move, and they knew that I've always been an Irish Town guy, and that's where I'll be moving to. And obviously, for the my sake of my privacy, I'm not going to give away the address. If I like you, you'll know the address. And other than that, Ontario was good, and had a nice visit to Maverick Welk's hometown of Golden Lake, Ontario. Yeah. It was a fun little afternoon that we spent there. And for those that didn't know, Golden Lake is shaped like a whale.
And cheap cigarettes.
And cheap cigarettes and beer. That's correct. That's the best part of the trip.
Blue Jays jersey on. We got our jersey on. It's summertime, still camp. So you got your Blue Jays. I got my Bucks training camp. Did you go to a game?
Nope. As much as I offered to literally buy people tickets and go with me, nobody wanted to go to a game. So this is the second summer in a row that I've been shut out. But next summer.
Well, that's too bad.
It is too bad, and
because that was a good. Although I think the one you wanted to go to, they got spanked like 9-1 by San Diego. Or something,
yeah, they did. Yeah. It was a hot dog contest, hot dog eating $2, whatever it is, loony dog night, and.
Well, your summer's been much better than mine. I have not gone to Ontario yet.
No, well, you're going.
No. Yeah, we're going. We're that family that plans it around training camp. So thanks to C-Shep this year for giving the Wildcats a break. So we're going to Ontario. We're going to the Blue Jays Expos game.
Yes, yep.
Tuesday for Looney Dog Night. But yeah, my summer's been pretty much non-existent. Layla went to Ontario for 3 weeks, so I did a lot of golfing in Hillsborough. Shout out to them. I actually was in the club championship.
Nice.
Got randomly paired with Tony Smith.
I heard that.
So we had a good time. Then the next day, I did not shoot well, so you kind of get paired on your scoring. I didn't play really well on Saturday. Sunday, I get there. He gets paired with AJ, the guy that we had golfed with, and these two young kids come in, and the guy running behind the counter, he's like, "All right, well, you're with that guy, you're with Tony, and you're with Adam." all right. Well, if you guys want to play together, like if you want to go in the same group together, well, I'll trade you. And he looks back. Can we do that? Yeah. All right. So we traded. I got to golf 16 holes on the Sunday because it started to rain. I wasn't playing that well. I wasn't anywhere near anything they call giving money away for you. And me and Tony just bailed.
There you go.
Like I already golfed in the rain on Saturday. I'm not golfing in the rain on Sunday. So I guess, it's better the rain we have than the fires. I will take that, but I am quite sick of all the rain, and now we're just pure into training camp, and I've been able to go to most of the training camp practices. You will notice we are on the short list to go to practices, so you're going to see some more coverage. We'll keep you updated on how that's going and where you can find all that. Oh, sorry, Amazing Race, you're good?
Yeah. I'm all caught up.
Yeah.
We're
Who did you take?
I took
Because I took Ty and
I took Kayleen and what's his name there? Jimbo, Jim Bob, somebody I can't remember, but they're both still on. Both our teams are still there.
Yeah, who did I?
You had Tyler and Kat.
Ty Cat, yeah, that's who it was.
And I had Kayleen and I can't think of his name.
Is that the guy with the
prosthetic leg?
Prosthetic legs?
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
What is his name? Not Amazing Race.
I was disappointed to see the girls go.
I was disappointed that they got screwed over, for lack of a better term. Like what are their names? Gail Kim was eliminated early.
I can't think. I'm so stuck on their names right now.
Kayleen and Tyler.
Tyler and Kayleen, that's the one. So
and
both
I got
Tylers.
Ty and K.
So both
Kat.
our teams are the T and K teams. Yeah.
Jermaine and Justin.
Yes.
I was so annoyed that they took 3 penalties for 6-hour wait. Were eliminated, and it just happened to be a non-elimination.
Yeah.
I was just like, really?
I got lucky.
They're rewarded for taking 3, which, the one guy just quits on things if he can't get it done. But it's, yeah. So both our teams are still in the race, so that's perfect. So, all right. So, yeah, follow us along on the X now, it's called. That's how long we've been away. I'm not calling it that. Follow us along on Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok. We will be doing more TikToks during the season. And as well, you can subscribe and like on the YouTube. I guess we'll get to the quick question. An article came out about the Wildcats this year and putting things together. And Dan is not on the hot seat, according to the article. And I guess the quick question is just an easy one. Is Dan coming into this season starting on the hot seat?
I guess it depends on who you ask. You could probably poll 100 Wildcats fans, and 50 would say yes, and 50 would say no. I think it's split down the middle right now. I never want to be someone who openly says you're on the hot seat and on to the next contestant. Yeah, right. It's if they get off to a bad start, yeah, sure, but based on how the division looks this year, I think it's favorable to see that they're going to get off to a decent start, which shouldn't put his job into jeopardy. But for some reason, if they, 0 for 10, then there's something wrong. Yeah. And if they're 0 for 10, I don't think it's a coaching thing. I think there's something else that's going on here. And is he on the hot seat?
I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think his seat is warm. He's got a new group. So as the leader of men, he's got a whole new blank slate on this season. A new group, new veterans. I don't think his seat is hot. I think it is warm. I think it's nowhere near what it was in February. And we were very vocal about his seat being scorching in February. But yeah, I think it's warm. But yeah, it just depends on what kind of start they get off to. And when you talk about a start, everybody's healthy, and that's the key. I mean, injuries are going to derail anything, but this isn't something where the team's going to be playing and then they've got a trade deadline and then they keep playing. Like, he's got a fresh, clean slate to just start this thing. So I think it's kind of warm and depending what kind of start they get off to. But yeah, Eric Labrosse is gone now, so we'll have to see what kind of power play we get here in the next. I mean, they played last night in at the Evan Center against Bathurst. They're tonight against Miramichi, and the Eagles on Friday. We'll have to see what kind of power play they have, and I'm not going to base my whole power play look on these first 3 games because there's going to be some rookies, because I assume by the time you hear this, there'll have been some cuts. But last year was a big determining factor on that second week when you have basically your roster, what your power play looks like, and it wasn't good with the guys that we were going to go with. And so Kelsey Tessier has been running practices. He was on the bench today with John DeCourcy for the scrimmages. Oh, well, actually on all the scrimmages. So is he the assistant that is taking over for Labrosse, or is he just helping run camp because there's a Wildcat connection and he is available? You know what I mean? So I don't think it's hot. I do think it's warm, and it has to, like our friend Andrew Barrington says, we got him in the first episode. If they get out to an 0-10 and start, then no kid loves coaching changes more than that kid.
No, he's obsessed with coaching changes.
But it's not something we can make a decision off of. We haven't even seen the veterans show up. But once the season gets going and they go against Cape Breton, Halifax, so it's a test right off the hop.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously you mentioned Kelsey Tessier, Irishtown native.
Oh,
Kelsey Tessier.
Good.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Perfect.
And when you go watch the scrimmages, the players who you expect to stand out are standing out. Right? Yeah. There's been no players there that have kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say disappointed. There's been no disappointments.
No.
But the guys who you expect to dominate rookie scrimmages are dominating rookie scrimmages. You know, we're talking about, Lounsbury.
Do you want to get into the training camp point? I mean, hit the thing?
Yeah. Let's get into the training camp report.
Since we're going there,
before I start talking too much.
Hey, it's preseason. We got to get this thing going.
We're allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah, we're getting into this as much as the team is.
Wildcats training camp report.
You're up.
Yeah. So as I was saying before the little music hit there, the players that you would expect to shine in these scrimmages are shining.
No, this
Shining.
you expect to shine are shining.
Are shining, correct. There's talking Lounsburys, you're talking, your Greniers. These guys are standing out because they have veteran, they have experience over these young guys. But at the same time, you've got, is it Julius? Julius Sumpf? Is Julius's first name?
Yes.
Julius Sumpf.
He's something.
He's something else. And,
that will be his hashtag. He's something.
Something. Maverick Welk, big goalie, is athletic for his size. Let's put it that way. The 2 Euros, Zielinski and Gloss are you can tell that they've been playing against older competition in the years. And, Sean Carrier, who's, for 16 years old, is just dominating at training camp,
Anybody listening to this has tweeted, put a comment, anything about why did they give up a first-round pick in the 2024 draft to move up to get Sean Carrier, delete that now.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe us, go to the preseason game tomorrow, the preseason game last night, assuming he played, he might play in Miramichi, so all of our listeners up there, go watch Sean Carrier. He is worth moving up the 7 spots to go get him.
Yep.
For me, Isaiah Parent, he has been all over the ice throughout the whole camp. He's got a good shot, good size, speed. Keegan Warren, 14th round pick. He had a lot of success in Yarmouth.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it on the draft recap. You had Denway, who was in the national championship. Legare, who was in the national championship. Lounsbury, who was a national champion. Keegan Warren went all the way to national championship, is a champion. They're drafting guys that are going far in their junior or in their midget careers and winning championships, and that just breeds the confidence for that. So it's tough to say. Oh, it's good to see Phelan 22 back too.
Yeah,
Thomas Auger
I
had a
was
goal.
going to mention him there.
It's tough to see and gauge these guys on a rookie camp because rookies are going to stand out against rookies. And I made this last year. There was a couple guys that stood out in that first game against St. John, and then as the veterans come, you can kind of see they're not quite there yet. So it's good to see those guys stand out. I like Zielinski is bigger than I thought. Like, I don't know why I thought he was the smaller Cormier-style defenseman. Maybe I just...
No, complete opposite.
Yeah, he's complete opposite.
Yeah.
As soon as I got to practice on Saturday, I was like, okay, he's tall.
Yeah.
And Sumpf is tall as well. Like, he's a big body that moves the puck well.
Yeah, Zielinski's like a two-way defenseman. He's not going to wow you.
Yeah.
For me, he's going to be one of those defensemen that you don't notice, but you don't notice him for good reasons. Right. He's almost as if it's as if he's going to be a right shooting version of Forte Jean-Jean. A defenseman you just don't notice on the ice, doesn't make many mistakes, and that's what you want. I could go watch a 60-minute game, and he goes and plays 20 minutes, and there's not a moment during the game that I remember, he did this, right? It's a flow. It's a smooth flow. There's no high-end skill. There's no spinneroonies or spinoramas, whatever to call it there. It's your smooth transition defensive defenseman. It's like that two-way style, right? So you're not going to notice him very much on the ice. He at the Helenka Gretzky tournament, he finished third in plus minus. Well, people are going to say plus minus is a pointless stat. I think it has its own language, right? It says a lot about the type of defenseman you are. If you're a plus, let's say 8 on your team, and you're a rebuilding team, you're a +8, and everybody else on your team is a minus. Well, it says a lot about you as a defenseman. Yeah. Right. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot with him, with Zielinski. Yep.
Yeah, and that's, one of the drills in practice that I was telling you about. Just win a draw, puck off the glass and out. Win a draw, puck off the glass and out. Like, they're doing the little things now in camp, or reversing it to go the other way. Like, just doing the little things that, sometimes get you into trouble and get you into that scrambling mode. But yeah, it's been a good rookie camp so far. The veterans do get here, and you look at the roster.
Well, they don't get here till friggin' September 9th.
No,
I think there was a date where there was actually a date written on a tweet, on a graphic that the Wildcats tweeted out, and for some reason I think it said like September 9th that they weren't showing up. The veterans weren't showing up.
Really?
I think. I'll have to go. Like, if we go back and look at all the tweets that the Wildcats sent out, maybe they deleted it.
So maybe we're not gonna have cuts as early as we thought. Like,
well, we have to. There's going to be guys
a few Americans guys.
There's going to be guys that leave. But
they're not going to cut it down to have
not like the
15
Quebec
forwards and stuff like that.
No, like some of the Quebec teams literally have 4 cuts to make and they're at a full roster. That's foolish. But no, maybe I'm going crazy here, but I almost remember seeing a graphic in which it said that the veterans weren't showing up until the 9th of September. I need to go back and you keep talking. And I'll look for it, but
maybe that was what they originally thought, but that would not be advantageous to this team because they'd miss 5 preseason games and they'd have 1 game on the 15th to play before the start of the season, which
September 4th. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. So they will be here for the game on the 8th at the Avenir Center and up at Bucktouche there on the 15th because they play the 8th and the 9th.
Yeah, I was just it's something.
Roll in early, get to that 4 o'clock game, and off we go.
So 4 looks like a 9 in my brain, but
I get it.
September 4th, so
Okay,
that's
so after
Labor Day.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at the roster as a whole, and there's already 5 defensemen that are arriving on September 4th. So that leaves what?
2 spots.
2 spots? Forwards, there was, Alexi Daniel isn't here, but 2, 4, 6 guys. So there's 6 spots left.
Yeah.
7 maybe that they're going to carry.
You've got Grenier in the rookie camp.
Yeah.
Right? So assuming he gets one of those jobs, there's your 6 defensemen.
Yeah.
Now, seeing as how Mr. Ballantyne had some experience and some success at forward,
Yeah.
to maybe make him as a versatile guy, so you can maybe carry 8 defensemen or you carry 9 defensemen, and you use him where you see the need.
Right.
Right. That's because there's.
But I think he needs to just play defense. Like, he needs to play more in general. So, I mean, it was tough to see him in and out of the lineup. And then it was tough to see Grenier in and out of the lineup. Like, these guys can't develop and can't get a sense of their partner on that 5-6 pair when one's going up to forward or one's playing with this defenseman and the other one's sitting out. It's just, it's tough to get that going. But it I see where you're going. It gives you the flexibility to carry 8 defensemen without, having to have 2 of them sit up in the booth. So
I mean, you look at Trent Ballantyne has 1 goal, is a goal per game player as a forward.
That is true. That is true, and it was in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking that was his first goal in the playoffs, and no, that was his first goal of the year. I mean, the biggest news is Alexi Daniel not coming back.
Yep.
Before camp, finding out before training camp started. I mean, the report is he doesn't want to be traded, so you kind of think he's going to start his CIS career or whatnot. But, I mean, that just kind of sucks in general for a kid that, hometown kid, captain, whatever, working towards getting at camp. But I understand from the team side, like, there's no point coming to camp if you're not going to be the 20-year-old that we're going to carry. We're not going to carry 4 and make a decision and whatnot. So it was a very delicate situation in terms of we love to play GM and have ghost rosters and try and predict things, but we're very glad we don't actually have to have these conversations with parents, kids about these kind of situations.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at it, he was, as a captain last year, you almost expect your captain to be back.
Yep.
And if your captain's not back, you almost expect to be able to get something, and it's tough. Like, I wouldn't want to be the one to have that conversation.
No.
Right? It's, but but you look at it, it's like I just said, you don't. If you have a 19-year-old as your captain, you almost assume your captain's going to be back the following year, right? And it's tough. I mean, that's probably one of the, I can't speak for Richie, but probably one of the tougher decisions he's had to make, right? I mean, you don't get very many. I know we've had a few.
No, I think between that and Jake Stewart at the trade deadline, those were probably 2 of the toughest conversations.
I would even put the Alexi Daniel one above the Jake Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a local player who probably lives 10 minutes from the rink, or the C last year, and has had probably every intention of coming back this year and being captain again. Yeah. Only be told that, we're going in a different direction. That's
11th round pick too. That when people saw that,
worked
they're like,
his tail off.
They took him because he's a flyer, he's a hometown kid, whatever. He worked his tail off to play 67, 65 games.
I remember his first Q goal. It was that point shot against St. John where he just tipped it.
Yeah,
and he just I'm sure that plays in his mind all the time, and it's just one of those things where you just it was surprising. I fully expected him to be at least a third line contributor. But at the same time, your captain's usually a top 6 forward,
Yeah.
or a top 3 defenseman.
And not that he couldn't play the top 6 role, but usually your 20-year-old captain is your consistent, every night penciled in left winger on the top 6, right? Like it's a, you always say it. Do you want a 19-year-old on the 4th line and the 5th, 6th defenseman, or do you want the 16-year-old learning and the 17-year-old taking a shot? And I think that's just where it came down to, is the production value of, and that's where, what was it, 4 seasons ago they talked about having the goalies not count as a 20, so you could have 3 up front and 1 goalie.
Yeah.
Well, that might be handy at some point. Doesn't work out in this situation, but that's just where legit the numbers come down. And that's the business part of hockey, and it sucks. And 100%. I'm very glad we just get to talk about it and not have to talk to them about it. The other player not coming back that stirred up quite a bit of kerfuffle, Max Barbashev. Trading arguably your best player last year, and
that's right. You traded your best player, and you only got a 3rd round pick.
Fifth. You got nothing.
How do you manage to do that?
What are you gonna do in the Memorial? Like, he's gonna be there for the Memorial Cup.
How do you trade your best player and only get a 3rd round pick? Oh yeah. Anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about,
just go look at their Facebook.
Go look at the Moncton Wildcats Facebook page or their Instagram.
The fact
on the day that he was traded.
The 2 trades that he's been able to pull off and get value that nobody thought you'd get value for. Filion in a first, which was I'm going to call it a pretender first, because it was just because 2 teams missed out on a player and they got it. Whatever. It got us Olivier Boutin. So it was a pick. It was there. He got a 1st round pick attached on that trade. And Max Barbashev, because not many teams in the league can have a player take up 2 roster spots. And I think that is what so many people forget.
Don't realize.
Is he's counting as a 20 and a Euro. If he doesn't come back, in Tebow we trust is laughing all the way to the bank, because he got a 3rd and a 5th for a guy that's not even in the league.
Yeah, well, there's probably conditions on the deal.
I would guess maybe the 3rd might come back and we keep the 5th, but still, even if he doesn't come back and he plays there and he plays good for them, you still got a 3rd for what? There's maybe 3 teams in the league that could afford a 20-year-old and a Euro, and they know that, so they're not going to give Richie the world. And I think that's what people sometimes forget, is it's our guy. We want 1sts and 2nds for our guy who's our best player. We need 1st. Well, if Mondu, what's his name? Martin in Shawinigan?
Yeah.
Martin? Yeah. If he's like, I'll give you a 3rd and a 5th and that's it, and Richie phones 2 other teams and they're saying, well, we'll give you a 6th and a 10th and a 7th and an 8th. He's taking the trade deadline. You can only make the deal that the teams want to make with you. And if there's no market out there for it, I mean, we almost have to be thankful there was a market for Barbashev as a 20 and a Euro. Not saying there wouldn't be a market for a player like that, but 20 and a Euro, there's obviously not a lot of teams that could have had that.
No, and that's right. There's no space. I mean, I think the only I was going to say Halifax, but it's not even Halifax, because they have Moravec and Panzetto. So there wasn't very many teams. Shawinigan might have been the only one that had room for an import and a 20, and so they made the deal. I mean, it's look, there's going to be other trades that are going to surprise people that are probably going to be done. I'm not sure when I think the trade deadline ends on the 28th. I think it is.
I think so.
So there's going to be other trades that are going to surprise people. You know, will a team pay something for Cole Bishop? Will another defenseman that's at camp surprise and get a roster spot and bump one of the veterans down, and in order to get that veteran some ice time, they're shipped out. You know, there's going to be trades that are going to happen that's going to surprise people, and they've got a week to sort it out. Look, I'm not saying it's going to be a Moncton trade, but you know, this happens in the league. There's trades that are going to surprise people, and people are going to complain about well, we paid too much for this guy. We paid too much for this guy. Why would you trade that guy? Well, you clearly don't understand why some of these moves are made.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, a third and an eighth. I don't know why I said fifth.
Yeah, well, still.
A third and an eighth. And Francisco Police. Francisco, that's fun to say. But again, that's a player that needed a spot to play. And sometimes guys just need spots to play, need spots to develop. And, as much as it's Richie's job to build a contender here this year and build a Memorial Cup contender next year, he also has to do right by the players that aren't going to be on the team. And if he can find a spot for a Francisco Police where he has a shot to crack the roster in Shawinigan, I don't want to say he's owed that, but good on Richie to find him a spot to make, you look at this defense that's here. You've already got the 5, Valentine, Boutin, Forte, John, Moran, and Plandowski. But you look at the names of the guys that have been here. I mean, Grenier's been good. He should be. He's a veteran. Hackett's developed really nicely. Luc Morin, he was playing well today. Benjamin Damphus, he's young. We'll talk about him in a little bit. They've had some defensemen. Zielinski's been real good. Where are you going to put Police in that to have a shot on the roster? And it's just sometimes the trades, they don't look the best, but it's because Richie's trying to find a place for that player to compete. They obviously saw QMJHL talent value in Police, so why not give him a chance to crack a roster somewhere if it's not in Moncton?
And I don't even know if he'll make Shawinigan, right? I think when I was reading some articles about following that trade, I think Mondu said that they're probably going to have him play another year of midget and then just use him as a call-up. So it seems as if he was not really a throw-in, but he wasn't going to play in Moncton.
No, and their pantry is probably a little low considering they went in. They went to the Memorial Cup 2 years ago, so they have to get prospects. Right?
Yeah, they got to build those cupboards back up. Yeah. So for all we know, this could literally just be, if Barbashev doesn't play, it could be just a Police for an 8th round pick.
Perfect.
It's
that's what it could come down to if he makes.
Yeah.
Now, is Barbashev signed?
No,
he still isn't signed by Hartford.
No.
I guess it would be.
He signed a little. I think it was a one-way deal in the off season, but no, he hasn't officially. He's not NHL signed.
So if he ends up NHL signed and he plays in Hartford, and it ends up being Police, and we'll just guess that maybe the condition is Shawinigan gets their 3rd round back. No idea. That's just what we're guessing. Even if it's Police for an 8th, you improved his value because he was a 12th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So by 4 rounds, you've kind of gotten a pick early. And if we did give up Max for a 3rd in 2024, guys, the guy writing the checks looked the commissioner in the eye and said we're all in 2025 for the Memorial Cup. So any small piece trade draft pick prospect that is going to be accumulated now and in the Christmas trade deadline, it's making the team better, but it's also setting up the cupboards for 2025 when, according to Mr. Irving, we're pushing all the chips in, and he looked Mr. Cicchini right in the eye and said, we're all in 2025.
He said, I heard that.
Yeah. So, it's which, did we talk about the draft coming to Moncton on the last show? 2 months ago? Did we know that then?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did, but thank God it's coming to Moncton.
Hey, you might get some better media food.
Oh, media food. We'll get some air conditioning. I think we talked about it on Sports Quarantine with Chris, that it was some sort of air conditioning coming back. But everything's coming up Moncton right now. Top Prospects game, Q Draft. The Memorial Cup in 2025 is the plan.
That'd be the trifecta.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mr. Whalen, if you could bring the Scotties to Moncton as well.
Scotties.
Big Scotties fan. It's in Calgary next year. I'm tired of seeing it in the West.
Yeah.
Bring that out to the East with Andrea Crawford, who I don't think is with New Brunswick anymore. I think she went to a different team. But bring the Scotties to Moncton. Bring everything to Moncton because I want to see the Scotties.
I love when people get to throw rocks at houses.
All right. Yeah. So let's. Should we get to our guest?
Yes.
Get to our guest?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's. We got a very special guest, so let's get to him.
View from the other bench.
All right, well, we always like to have a special guest on our premieres and our finales, and this is no different, but it's a little bit of a twist, seeing as this is our training camp episode. We've got a little bit of a special connection to our 13th round selection, Ben Damphus. We're pleased to be joined by the Wildcats' first draft pick. In the first round, he went 5th overall in the 96 QMJHL Draft, Jean-Francois Damphus. JF, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. Probably a little less stressed about training camp than you are, I guess. Just talk about what it's like to have your son at training camp.
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you watch your son play, it's always a little bit stressful. But in the position that we are, like we know he's not coming in to necessarily make the team. It's more as an experience. He's going back to RNS next season, so it's a really good experience. He gets to get a feel of the pace of the game and what he needs to improve moving forward. So overall, it's been great so far.
That actually answers one of my other questions I was going to ask. What are his plans for this season? So glad you kind of got that in there. I guess I know it's been a couple of years, but let's go back to your draft day and just tell us a little bit about that and what do you remember about it?
Yeah, I mean, back in the days, it was different because as a 15-year-old, you could only be drafted in the top 3 rounds. If you weren't drafted in the top 3 rounds, you'd have to go back and play midget and wait another year to get drafted, which was the case for me. I wasn't drafted as a 15-year-old. So, a little bit of a disappointment there went back to midget. Lucky enough, we had a good team. We ended up winning a national championship with the Sainte Foy Gouverneur back in 1996, which obviously helped me become a first-round pick of the Moncton Wildcats that next summer. So, I lived both experiences, disappointment the first year and being a first round the second year. Obviously, being drafted in Moncton was exciting. A fresh start for me, a young guy from Quebec that, couldn't speak a word of English and never visited New Brunswick before. So it was a brand new experience, but it was obviously very positive as an experience, and it really changed my life.
And I guess fast forward to this past June, what sort of advice did you get to Ben going into the draft? And I guess how were his nerves the night before?
Yeah, we weren't that nervous. I mean, for us, we're kind of using the long-term path. And I hear a lot the NCAA, and obviously Ben is a good student. He's doing really well at RNS, and we don't want to neglect any sides of the game. Down the road, if playing for the Moncton Wildcats is an option, I think Ben will play there. But at the same time, we want to obviously protect ourselves for the next year or so, so that if it doesn't happen in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, that he still has his options open for the U.S. college. So, I mean, as far as the draft for Ben, we kind of, that's what we told the teams. He had about 8 or 9 interviews. We all said the same thing. Probably not going to play exhibition games. We see this his development path more as a long-term thing. So, he probably slid in the draft a little bit because of that, but that's fine. We were okay with that. For us, it didn't matter if it was a 8th-round pick or 13th-round pick. He got to live the dream of being drafted by the Moncton Wildcats. He's having a great experience in training camp now. And like I said, if next year, in a couple of years, playing for the Moncton Wildcats is realistic for him, we'll go that way. We have no issue with that.
So playing with the Wildcats, obviously in 96, 97, he played 39 games, only won 6. But that next year in 97, 98, I mean, you played 60 games, 24, 26, took the team to the playoffs. Like, I'm sure Moncton looks a little bit different from 96 to now, obviously a brand new rink and whatnot. But just talk about your time playing in Moncton and you're a goaltender that was playing behind not a great team in 96, 97, and they kind of turned things around in 97, 98. Just talk about your time with Moncton.
Yeah, no, obviously, like the first year was tough. I got to play, against really good players, but we were kind of young as a team, kind of a rebuilding, expansion type team following the Alpines. So it was kind of a tough situation, especially after winning a national championship the year before. You're kind of positive, kind of on the cocky side of things, thinking you're going to win every year type thing. But it was the opposite the first year. But we got to build around our young core for the second year. We got better, made the playoffs. We added a couple really good Europeans on the team, and that made a difference for us. So, but there's one consistent thing that's been there since day one. It's the way that the organization treat their players. Going through the dressing room this past week and seeing how the kids are treated. Obviously, it's a brand new rink and the facility is fantastic. But even back in the old Moncton Coliseum and the way Mr. Irving treated us, it was always first class, always thinking about the athlete first, the student. The only positive came from me as far as playing for the Wildcats.
And I guess just talk to us a little bit more about your NHL draft experience, because not only were you the first Moncton Wildcats draft pick, you were the first Moncton Wildcats player to be drafted into the NHL. What do you remember about your draft experience?
Yeah, that was a little bit nerve-wracking because there was some expectations. I was ranked quite high, and but in my mind, I was probably more a second-round pick than a first round. I had met with like 26 teams before the draft, so I knew I was going to be drafted. If I was a betting man, New Jersey would have been the last team that I would have bet on.
Yeah.
But it just happened that way, and I got to live my dream. I got to play in the NHL. I got to follow the team as a Black Aces for a couple Stanley Cup runs. I got to play in the American Hockey League for a few years. Obviously played behind Marty Brodeur, who was actually pretty good goalie too.
Not bad.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So no, it was a great experience. I got to live my dream. Do I wish it would have lasted longer? Obviously, but that's part of the game. You just never know if your career is going to be 1 game, 5 games, or 1,000 games. It's sometimes there's timing involved. There's different scenarios involved. So, but overall, I'm very proud of what I accomplished in my career.
So this one's kind of a two-parter. One, do you still have that sweet blocker with the cat on it, that Brian's blocker? Do you still got that?
Yeah, and one of my weaknesses is collecting stuff. I'm really bad at that. I wish I had it because it's actually the blocker that we won a national championship with. I wish I had that gear, but
okay.
I scrambled to find a couple pieces of equipment in the last few years. I'd say about 5 or 7 years ago, I went to play the Heart and Stroke Foundation tournament there, and I had to find some gear for that. But I'm terrible as far as collecting items.
It's kind of cool. It's back. Like now, all the goal equipment is all customized with all designs on it. But that was probably one of the first sets of it. Playing in Moncton, you played, like I said, 59 games 1 year, 40 games the next year. You get drafted. You end up sitting behind Martin Brodeur in an era where the number one guy played 60 of 82 or 72 of 82 games. I mean, just mentally, what kind of a difference was that to go from playing almost every night in Major Junior to once you got to the next level, because you're behind Martin Brodeur, you play 6 games in a year. Just what was that kind of like?
Yeah, it's really hard, and people don't realize. Sometimes we complain and we say bad things about backup goalies when they play bad, but it's a really tough job because you don't get the same feel of the game. You get the practice, but you don't get the same feel of the rhythm of a game and the pace of a game. And sometimes we criticize goalies for the wrong reasons because it's a really tough job. I'd say, a backup goalie that gets 20, 25 games a year, I think it's a good flow. You can live with that. Mm-hmm. But when you play once a month, it gets to be really hard. And, looking back at the starts that I had, I think I did pretty well. I lost 2-1 to Tampa Bay. I lost 3-2 to the Panthers. I won 5-2 against Calgary. I had some pretty good starts, but wasn't able to put enough wins, I guess, to secure long-term starts with the Devils.
Those teams back then with Stevens and Niedermeyer and Rafalski and that kind of decor behind you, I mean, seemed like if it was Brodeur, if you're getting in there behind that decor, they're going to make life easy on you as much as possible. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
For sure. Overall, I'm sure you could ask any goalies that played. I played the East Coast League, I played the AHL, I played the NHL, so I played pretty much in every league possible. The NHL might be the easiest league to play in because people are so good around you. Like the decor is really good, the forwards are coming back in the zone. The play is really structured, where you have to make the first saves. You're responsible for that one, but usually, they'll clear up the net, the front of the net, and clear up the rebounds, and so you only have to one shot to focus on, compared to junior or the minor leagues and the pro, where it's a little bit more scramble and where you have to make 2 or 3 saves sometimes.
Right.
We've had NHL players on the show, and one of the questions we like to ask, like when we had Connor Garland on the show, we asked Connor Garland, everything about his first NHL goal, and he knows everything about it. Being a goalie, as sad as this sounds, do you remember who it was that that scored on you to give up your first NHL goal as a goalie?
No clue, to be honest. We'll have to look in the stats. I have no clue, but I know I played against Tampa Bay my first start, and it was an amazing experience. I got to play against Nikolai Abibulin on the other side, who was a legend back then, and Vinny Lecavalier and Marty St. Louis. So it was a stacked-up team, and ended up, pulling a pretty good game, losing 2-1 on the road. It was a great experience, and my wife surprised me. She was there in Tampa Bay for that game. I had no idea she traveled for it. So overall, it was just an amazing experience, and obviously grateful that New Jersey gave me that chance, and I'll remember that night for the rest of my life for sure.
Just to refresh your memory, it was Freddie Modine.
Man, I should have made that save.
assisted by Dave Andrewchuk. So not bad, right?
I should have made that save still.
That's funny. It's of all the Tampa Bay Lightning players then on that team, I probably would not have picked Freddie Modine to. And it was probably, I'll bet you if we go back and watch, it's probably one of those greasy ones where you're standing in front of the net and you made the first save and it just happened to get on the stick or something.
Possibly.
Like that. One of the other cool things from this past draft, not this past one, but last year we drafted Keegan Warren, who his dad, Morgan Warren, played for the Wildcats. Have you had a chance to connect with him at camp, or do you guys, do the old Wildcats stay in touch now that your sons are getting to that age where they're having the ability to get to the Q draft? It's just kind of when I was doing the prep for this, I just realized, they would have played at the same time. Do you guys kind of catch up? Have you had a chance to run into them and talk about how weird it is you were on the same team and now your sons are both kind of at camps?
Yeah, we actually talked for about 20 minutes after the last scrimmage today. Exchanged some stories from back in the days and talked about life in general. We actually took a picture after the game of our group, that the alumni that have kids in training camp. France Jean, his son is there too. He was my goalie coach. And Jonathan Roy as well played for the Wildcats, and his son is in training camp too. So we took a photo of the 4 fathers with the 4 boys, and it's good memories. Good to see some of the alumni back at the Avenir Center. It's always great to see.
That's awesome. That's memories that you don't think growing up you're going to stay in touch a little bit, but actually you don't ever know if you'll see them at a camp down the road or whatever. So that's pretty cool, and to have your goalie coach
absolutely
here as well.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. But man, JF, we thank you for taking the time to be with us on kind of a stressful time, because we know cuts are coming at some point. But we just want to thank you for taking the time to join us, and hopefully Ben at some point makes the squad, and we can have him and you on at the same time to talk about playing for the Wildcats.
Sounds good. Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Well, that was cool. Not, I think that's the first father of a former player we've had on. We've had NHL players before. We've had former Wildcats, but I think that's the first Wildcat, former AHLer, and father of a prospect we've had on.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks of Anaheim legend J.F. Danfus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Former Cincinnati Mighty Duck.
That's
going back some time.
That's going back some time. And it's funny, like when we chatted with him about coming on to the interview, I started doing the research, and I'm like, oh well, he got drafted at this point. He had to have played with Marty Brodeur, like, which of course I didn't ask him what it was like to play behind, like to get to know Marty Brodeur as a teammate and stuff like that, because I'm not smart and I didn't write my questions down. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final, so you got to be a black ace and practice with him every day. I mean, that's the thing. Like, obviously, never going to get to the NHL, never going to play pro anything, but it's got to be so crazy to play in the Q or the W or the O, get drafted, eventually make the NHL, and there's now, like, you're lining up, like Bedard, he's going to line up against Sidney Crosby in the first face-off of the National Hockey League season. Or JF playing with Scott Stevens, Niedermeyer, playing behind Martin Brodeur. Like, that's just got to be such a thrill. Like, how do you not get starstruck playing with and against those guys?
I'm sure they are, but they would just never say it, right? It's I'm sure it's in the back of their mind. And is it actually Pittsburgh and Chicago in the NHL?
Yeah, that's Chicago and
That's
Pittsburgh.
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
No, it's good to see Chicago get some media attention.
Yeah. It's probably the worst team.
Yeah.
They got enough media attention last year for all the bad reasons.
Yep.
But
like Bedard, not loving that situation.
He should have went to Anaheim.
But, I mean, speaking of the NHL draft that happened while we weren't recording, Etienne Morin is a Calgary Flame. Kind of tired. And I said this to Preston Lounsbury when I interviewed him the other day. I was glad to see him go to Oilers camp, finally an Oiler. But again, like I said, Pelche, his jersey was going to go in the studio. It is autographed. It will never grace my body. I will never wear a Flames jersey. But yeah, it's nice to see him go. It's nice to see Landsberg go to the Oilers finally, but it was kind of cool to see Morin go to the Flames. And,
next July we'll see Cole Eiserman go to Calgary, and then there'll be the whole get him to Moncton.
Look, I said that to you. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Secure the Memorial Cup. The Flames secure Cole Eiserman.
Yep.
And Richie uses his connections. They put that together. Go to Moncton, win a Memorial Cup, and then come to Calgary, and that's how it happens.
Screw Minnesota.
Yeah.
Moncton's better.
No, absolutely it is. Minnesota, you know how cold it is in Minnesota? Absolutely not.
Golden Gopher?
Yeah.
Be a Wildcat.
Yeah. But it was cool to see the Etienne get that media attention playing with Huberdeau at his like summer tournament. So again, that's another wrinkle too, is we're gonna lose a couple guys to NHL camps in maybe the odd invite, but Morin will probably go to Calgary. Sumpf maybe, Loshing maybe, Colorado might get a rookie camp. Lounsbury to Edmonton rookie camp maybe. So you're gonna see these younger kids that are from rookie camp go into main camp, and good on these guys getting to go to rookie camp, and that just makes them better, which in turn makes us better.
Yeah, for sure. You got to get. You're going to learn different things at NHL camps than what you learn at a Q camp, and they just bring that back. And those three guys are leaders, and there's teachers teach, right?
Yeah.
And these are guys that are. I wouldn't be surprised if, all three of them are no. Well, I would say 2 of the 3 will probably wear letters this year. One maybe 3 of 3 is possible, but 2 out of 3 for sure.
That I just talked about.
Yep.
Morin.
Yep.
Loshing, Sumpf, and Lounsbury. Or you?
I wasn't counting Sumpf.
Oh, you weren't counting Sumpf? Okay.
No. So Loshing, Lounsbury, and Morin.
Oh yeah.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. Yeah.
Possibly all 3. You never know. It's if they do those home assistants and road assistants.
Please don't do those home road assistants. please don't do that home road assistants. Like, again, you do what you do, but please don't do that. We don't need 6 assistant captains. Yeah. Just name 3.
I think if they do that, I think all 3 will have a letter.
Yeah.
And obviously with Lounsbury being from down the road, he'd probably be the home assistant.
Yeah.
And but no, look, it's I think all three guys have a chance here to bring back stuff that they learned at NHL camp and bring it to the Wildcats, which will only make the younger guys better. And all these guys want to play in the NHL, so why not take tips from guys who've been there and got the experience and put it into their own game, right? So.
And they're good enough to earn these, like whether they're drafted or free agent invites, they're good enough to earn it. So why not go there, learn as much as you can? Yeah, bring it back. Loshing, take that piss missile down to Colorado, and like I said to you yesterday, these goalies can, they're used to one thing in rookie camp. Just wait till Loshing's piss missile goes right by their head, and in the back of the net, hopefully. But that's it, man. That's our first off-season show. Nothing to talk about next week. I mean, we could recap the games, but the Wildcats are on break.
Recap the YQM Music Festival.
Yeah. You going?
No.
You sneaking in? Or not sneaking in, sneaking around?
Sneaking around.
So which one would you go to? Which night?
So Morgan Wallen, I mean, he's okay.
He's bald now.
He is.
Looks like Caillou.
So he's obviously one of the biggest acts in the world right now. Not my favorite. If I think Thomas Rhett is, if there's a night that I sneak around, I think the Saturday lineup is the best of all. So I think I'll do a little walk around on the Saturday evening and see if I can listen and see for free.
And again, Scotty and Tony.
Yeah.
If you need help,
absolutely.
Jeremy Boucher is available. I will not be, as I will be on holidays.
If they have some extra tickets. I mean, I could definitely use the profit to sell them, or
he will
use
wear
them myself.
Whatever New Country 96.9 gear you want to give him.
Well, I mean,
no, for free tickets to that, you wouldn't wear a shirt and a big giant foam cowboy hat.
Oh, for free tickets?
Yeah,
man. I mean, free tickets.
Pimp yourself out
for one of those $9,000 VIP tables. I'd probably wear a 96.9 bikini.
So anyone listening, if you get the whole VIP box yourself, or just
it's like one of those. It's like a $10,000 VIP table for 8 people.
Yeah.
And
so do you need the whole table, or you just need a spot at the table?
I want the whole table.
The whole table.
Yeah.
So if you want to donate your whole table to Jeremy Boucher, you get in contact with him on Twitter.
$10,000. I will wear a New Country 969 bikini. And
document the whole dang
I'll park
thing.
my car at the mall and walk to the concert site in like a bikini.
Oh, I've never wanted something so bad in my life. But we'll be back on September 6th as I'm off for holidays. The Wildcats are off for C-Shep. But yeah, enjoy the games this Wednesday, tonight up in Miramichi, and this Friday. All the games are on CHL Freeview, the CHL app for free. All the preseason games, yep. Oh, nice. Yep, they're all on there. And we'll be back after Labor Day. So for everyone out there, have a great Labor Day. Have a safe Labor Day so that you can all enjoy our show and some of our pre-season recaps.
That's right. Everybody go to YQM. Enjoy yourselves. Everyone going to the River of Pride Festival this weekend. Enjoy yourselves. And we'll see you after the long weekend.
Absolutely. For Jeremy, I'm Adam. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcats.